17 didn't just sell albums, they rewrote the rules of what a K-pop group could achieve. In one whirlwind year, they turned impossible pre-orders into reality, pushed first-week sales past numbers nobody had dared to dream of, and ended up with the best-selling album on Earth. But the real story isn't just about numbers. It's about 13 young men who came from the edge of the industry, built their career brick by brick, and created a bond with their fans so strong that it moved markets. When 17 debuted in 2015, the odds were stacked against them. They weren't from one of the industry's big three powerhouses. They didn't have the marketing machine or the instant exposure that other groups could count on. What they did have was talent, grit, and the willingness to do things differently. From the start, they were known as self-producing idols, not as a slogan, but as a reality. Woozi locked himself in studios to compose, Hoshi worked endlessly on choreography, and the group spent years in practice rooms polishing performances until they were airtight. Their early days were anything but glamorous. They performed at smaller venues, appeared on variety shows with modest reach, and slowly grew a fandom called CARATs. But this small base of fans was fiercely loyal, drawn in by 17's authenticity. Fans saw not just polished idols, but hardworking young men supporting one another like brothers. They shared behind-the-scenes footage of laughter, tears, and arguments, showing vulnerability that made them relatable in a way K-pop idols often weren't. The group's structure itself was unusual. 13 members divided into 3 units: vocal, hip-hop, and performance. Each team could specialize, but when united, their synergy was unmatched. It gave them range. A track like Adore You charmed with its boyish energy, while Don't Wanna Cry captured heartbreak with haunting intensity. Over the years, their music catalog began to map out their growth, not just as performers, but as people maturing in front of millions. By the early 20s, 17 had established themselves as one of K-pop's most dependable acts. They were selling out arenas, headlining tours, and steadily climbing sales charts. But nothing could prepare the world for what came in 2023. In April of 2023, 17 released FML, their 10th mini-album. The build-up was electric. Pre-orders soared into the millions, fans coordinated mass unboxings online, and retailers worldwide scrambled to keep up. When the numbers dropped, jaws hit the floor. In its first week alone, FML moved over 4 million copies, shattering every record in sight. But FML wasn't just a commercial product. Its themes about loneliness, exhaustion, and finding hope resonated deeply. Members had spoken openly about burnout and mental health, making the album's message all the more powerful. Songs like Super lit up global stages with high-energy choreography, while tracks like Fuck My Life cut straight to the heart. Fans weren't just buying an album, they were buying into a story of survival and resilience. If FML was a lightning strike, 17th Heaven, released in October of the same year, was the thunderclap that followed. Conventional wisdom said a group couldn't possibly top a run like FML in the same year. 17 proved otherwise. The comeback was designed as a celebration, with visuals styled like festivals and a message of joy and gratitude. Within a week, 17th Heaven passed the 5 million mark in sales, the first K-pop album ever to do so. Suddenly, 17 wasn't chasing records anymore. Records were chasing them. What was once thought impossible had become their new normal. By the end of the year, industry bodies like IFPI crowned FML the best-selling album on the planet, outranking global heavyweights from the US and Europe. For the first time, a non-English album sat on top of the world in physical sales. Meanwhile, 17th Heaven ranked high on the same charts, giving 17 two global juggernauts in a single year. It wasn't just Korea celebrating. Billboard, Forbes, and countless international outlets reported the milestones. Fans across continents organized streaming parties, pop-up events, and donation drives in 17's name. It was no longer just about K-pop. It was about proving that music, regardless of language, could unite millions across the globe. Behind the confetti and headlines are stories of 13 young men who fought their way here. Joshua and Vernon, the group's American-born members, left their homes as teenagers to chase a dream in Korea. Mingyu often talks about how he struggled with self-confidence before debut. Seungkwan has spoken candidly about grief and the weight of public expectation. These personal battles are what make their triumphs feel so authentic. When 17 sings about resilience, fans believe them because they've lived it. That connection is what makes CARATs so powerful. Fans aren't just consumers. They're participants in the journey. They create spreadsheets to organize bulk orders, crowdfund donations in the group's name, and flood social media with celebrations that trend worldwide. Release week feels less like a marketing campaign and more like a festival shared between artists and fans. 17's rise forced the industry to adjust. Other groups began recalibrating pre-order goals, and retailers expanded their K-pop floor space. Western media, that once dismissed album sales as inflated, started acknowledging the sheer scale of global demand. The old narrative that only Western acts could dominate worldwide physical sales cracked apart under the weight of 17's numbers. Of course, some critics claim that multiple album versions and collectible photo cards artificially boost sales. But those tools exist for everyone. What sets 17 apart is how efficiently they mobilize their fan base. While others chase attention, 17 converts it. Their fandom doesn't just click like they buy, they organize, and they show up in person. That level of loyalty can't be manufactured. It's earned through years of trust and authenticity. So when we say 17 broke every record, we're not just talking about first-week sales. We're talking about a group that took the underdog path, built their empire with their own hands, and proved that sincerity and teamwork can change the face of an entire industry. Their story is about music, but also about human connection, perseverance, and the belief that 13 voices together are stronger than any obstacle. From practice rooms where they once dreamed of filling small theaters, to stadiums and global charts where they now reign supreme, 17's journey is a reminder of what happens when heart and hard work collide. They didn't just break records, they set a new standard for what's possible. And the question now isn't whether anyone can catch them. It's whether the music industry will ever look the same again after 17. As their albums broke sales records, 17's world tours showed the scale of their influence. Stadiums from Seoul to Los Angeles to Paris filled with tens of thousands of fans. What struck most observers wasn't just the size of the crowd, but the emotion inside those arenas. Fans sang every lyric, waved diamond-shaped light sticks, and even learned Korean lines to connect more deeply with the members. These shows were proof that the records weren't abstract numbers. They were living, breathing communities brought together through music. Over nearly a decade together, 17 has faced the same challenges that have broken other groups apart. Grueling schedules, personal struggles, even injuries. Yet, they have remained intact, all 13 members still present. They often call themselves a family, and their interactions, from playful teasing to heartfelt speeches, reinforce that bond. The group's survival in an industry known for turnover is a story in itself. Fans don't just admire their music, they admire their unity. 17's record-breaking year wasn't the end of their story. It was the beginning of a new chapter. Their success has inspired a new generation of trainees who now believe that creativity and teamwork can rival corporate muscle. Younger groups cite them as role models. Industry analysts track their strategies, and fans, old and new, continue to see in them a reflection of resilience, joy, and hope. 17 didn't just break records, they reshaped the landscape of global music. They proved that authenticity, perseverance, and unity can move markets and hearts alike. But their story is still being written, and the next chapter will be made together with their fans. So what do you think? Is 17's dominance a once-in-a-generation phenomenon, or the new blueprint for K-pop's future? Share your thoughts below, and if you want to dive even deeper into how the K-pop industry transforms music into a global force, check out our next feature after this video.